Here she comes. Hello, Jennifer Duby. Thank you very much
Hello.
for talking to me today.
Happy to be here.
All worked. Now, you graduated from the Copywriting Master Class you signed up in February of this year. So you've just come through the most recent cohort.
Yep.
And what was happening in your life that led you to look for a copywriting course?
So I have been freelancing for a little over a year at that point, maybe closer to 2 years. And during that time, I was sort of taking whatever work I could get. And at that time, I was in the process of thinking about how I wanted to grow my business and where I wanted to focus it so that I could be more deliberate about the work I was taking on. So I kind of had my radar up for classes. And I don't remember exactly how I saw your class, but it sort of came up and I thought about it, and I was still kind of focusing on content writing, and I wasn't sure, do I want to do content writing? Do I want to do copywriting? I knew I needed to sort of level up and be more focused about what work I wanted to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I felt like I needed some qualifications, partly to educate myself, but also sort of as a validation to say like, yeah, I do actually know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I know a lot of working copywriters who come and do the course have that exact experience where they're going, I've been doing a lot of this already, but I didn't know it was a thing. I didn't know it had a name. And I also didn't have a process for applying this technique. I was just kind of doing it randomly on instinct.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was part of it, was that like, I know how to write. I knew I had the chops to do it, but it was like, how do I pull it all together and do it, bring all the pieces together and do it as a business and do this particular type of writing.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you were, looking at the course, were there any elements of the course that really jumped out at you that you thought, oh, this is going to be this is what I need?
I think the thing that really was obvious, that really grabbed me when I was first making the decision, was the vibe that I got. For me, that's really important. I learn best in a structured learning environment that has a lot of support. And
me too.
So, a lot of stuff you can learn online, but I needed somebody to kind of put it together in a cohesive way. And so that structured environment as a class worked well for me. But, especially in the writing world, you see a lot of people who are about tearing people down. And that's just, I'm really opposed to that. And I don't think there's any need for it. So I'm always looking for people who are about raising everybody up, and sort of meeting the writer where they're at and giving them the skills and the tools and the confidence to take that next step forward, whatever that step is for that individual. And that was the vibe that I got from, the stuff that I was seeing as I was looking for the class.
I love that you said that, because that is what I'm all about. I mean, I can't even call, like, you're in my confident copywriting group, and I can't even call the copy reviews teardowns. No. I call them copy hot seats, and we have a copy clinic and stuff like that, because even though it's a common phrase and we all know what it is, there's this kind of thing that comes with it of like, I'm going to tell you all the things you did wrong.
Yeah.
And, I always like to think of the feedback that I give in the Copywriting Masterclass as more of a compliment sandwich. We start with the things that were good, and then these are some things that you can think about to take the next step. And let's wrap up with some positive motivation as well.
That's like textbook feedback. Textbook good instruction that's how you do it. That's how you, people don't learn in a negative environment.
Oh, I know.
There's no value to being brutal. People are always saying, give me brutal feedback. It's like, why? There's no value to that.
Yeah, that's right. And I know when you submit a worksheet to the forum, especially that first one, did you find it tough? Because I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it's always scary. Even knowing that the feedback that you're going to get is going to be even-handed and, wrapped in a positivity sandwich. You're putting your work out there, and that's another reason why I think that being negative is such a bad thing for writers, because we already we already are good at going
like our heart
negative
and stomp on it.
Right. Yeah. It was like I carved my heart out of my
yeah, this is the best I can do, please.
Right.
Don't reject me. And I'm very conscious of that when I give feedback, because I look at the feedback process as also a way you can practice doing it to prep for clients.
Oh, totally.
Very much a safe space, but it's the same experience with clients. You're like, here you go.
Right.
I like it.
Oh my God. It's so true. I'm more nervous giving my stuff to the client because they don't know how to give feedback. They don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly right, which is something we work on in confident copywriting as well. But if looking back to that beginning, what would you say almost stopped you, if anything, where you were assessing whether you were going to do it or not? What was something or multiple things that popped up in those moments?
Yeah. I mean, really, it's just, you see things on the internet and you think, is this for real? Does this person really know what they're talking about? Am I going to be, am I going to, I can't think of what I'm trying to say, but
I'm often
disappointed or taken advantage of. Is this a scam? Is this person all talk? And it is a big investment. So I worried about the money, but then getting the value for my money. But like I said, go ahead.
And I was going to say, well, let's flip it over. How did you find once you started the course, were those concerns met? Because I think you hopefully know pretty quickly whether it's going to be okay.
Yeah, it was clear pretty quickly that, number one, you know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that was the kind of thing that it just kept getting reinforced. Like, it was immediately apparent, and then every class, you always had examples from your past career of like, well, when this happened one time, I did this, or whatever.
Yeah.
I got this vibe from your emails and your website presence and all of that, and it was completely true to who you are in real life.
Yes.
So I felt like it was genuine.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I haven't got the energy or the brain space to try and be something I'm not.
All right. Yeah.
And the calls, you show up and there's often animals and kids and stuff going on, and the gardeners are coming, and it's just, you have to be able to do a program like this around your life and know that my life is happening here as well.
Right. Well, that's what makes it genuine. It's like that's real. That's real life.
That's good. Woo! So what would you say were your favorite elements, maybe a favorite lesson or a favorite way it was delivered, or any surprises?
I should have gone back and looked at all the lessons. I think, my favorite part really was the way that you do it, is sort of it's one thing to be positive, and it's one thing to give feedback, but to give feedback that's really valuable and constructive and is actionable in a positive way. I think that's where the value is. But then, the templates and all of the real life examples that you were able to give us, those were all great. But then as far as like my favorite part of the class was towards the end, when we really started to sort of pull it all together and do the thing, that we were here to learn how to do. So
there's a couple of writing projects in that third module. We talk about the process of writing.
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, this is a whole bunch of projects, and this is how you do it. This is how you write website pages, how to write brochures, how to write letters and emails and ads. But then you actually have to do it. And it's like, all right, this week you're going to write a brochure. Here's a brief, put it all together. And that's where it's like, oh shit. But
then you do it
together, all the things that you've learned, and you do it.
It was very validating, because I realized I can do this. I can do this. And I'm still at the beginning of my career and have a long way to go, but it's, it's a matter of practice and doing it. And so that was very sort of eye-opening for me.
Yeah, and like those projects really push everyone a little bit, but I mean that's why you're taking the course, is to do whole projects together.
Right.
But as you said, it's in the implementation, it's in practicing that it all starts coming together, because you can go through the content and just go, okay, I'm reading all of this stuff and I understand it. This all makes sense to me. But it's not until you do it that you're like, oh, I ran out of ideas, or I stopped too short, or this is really hard, actually.
This is hard. Yeah, totally. And then getting the feedback, and then being able to implement the feedback and have you look at it again.
Yes.
That's because I don't know how common that is, to be able to do that in a class, to sort of keep reiterating.
Yeah, because you were on you chose the no limits option, which means you not only had a lot more time, because you could submit worksheets to me now and I would respond to them. And because you had that extra time, you could also resubmit your writing projects or any of the worksheets as many times as you want, because you didn't have that time barrier. So it was really great that you took advantage of that as well.
Yeah, I knew that if I was going to do it, I was going to have to do it that way. And I definitely recommend it to anyone who's considering it. If they have it in their budget, it's definitely worth doing. No limits. I thought it worked well for me. And
because I loved how you were like, you were very clear and intentional from the beginning. If I'm doing this, I'm going all in. I'm turning up, I'm doing the work, I'm resubmitting. You took it very seriously, which is how you suck the marrow out of your investment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm running a business, it's like, I'm not here to play just because I like to write, this is for real. I got to make a living.
Yes, absolutely. And when you talk about the investment, not only of time, but of money, you're like, I need to earn this back.
Yeah.
Really fast. And, a lot of people have talked about the confidence they have about the copywriting, but at the end of the day, you need to earn it back. So would you say, have you earned back the investment?
No, because I'm still not good about getting clients, but I'm working on it. I am working on it. And I've got some other stuff that I won't bore you with.
Well, we've had a small pandemic as well, which is,
Oh, have we? I didn't notice.
Yeah, it's put a small dent in a lot of plans, but you've got those skills, and I love the fact that you're just persisting, because the skills that we're cultivating are the skills that mean our businesses aren't at the mercy,
right?
Like a brick and mortar business is.
Right.
You're building those skills.
Speaking of the pandemic, I had this whole plan in January when I signed up for your class. I had this whole plan for the year. I had it all planned out. And then the pandemic hit, and part of my plan was, long story short, I was going to use some of our local business get-togethers to network. That was going to be how I found clients.
Yeah.
And that's no. So,
but still, it will happen at one point. And, as I said, you're in confident copywriting. So you have a community in the support group that can, we help each other through these challenges, and the challenges are real, absolutely real. And they're not small.
No. Yeah. I find it really valuable to read people's posts on that, and on for the love of copywriting. Yeah. The questions that people ask, and then the advice that people give. It's very good quality advice. So I'm always like, remember that? If you ever come across that.
Yes. I actually have lots of Post-its on my desk, because I have the same thing when I'm in a group and I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Write it down. Just Post-it notes everywhere. But,
I'm also a queen of Post-it notes here. They're everywhere.
Oh, I just saw your certificate in the background behind.
Oh, yes. Yeah. There it is.
Look at that on the shelf. Yay. You get an actual certificate, everyone.
That's right. Laminated and everything.
That's how I keep my children busy. So let's have a brag. Like, we've talked about some of the challenges of moving forward, obviously in a pandemic, with, a very new business as well. But can you share a brag-worthy moment, small win, big win that
Okay.
you share?
Totally. I had a client, I'm still working with them now. And they asked me to do this job, and I slaved over the copy, tore my heart out of my chest, emailed it off to them.
Yep.
And literally 2 hours later, I get an email back. Oh my God, I love it. Like with exclamation points. And
Yes.
I was like, okay, I do know how to do this,
Yes,
so
I
that
got
was
this.
really a relief. Yeah.
Awesome. And how, I mean, obviously we all have that moment of the handing over the copy is hard. And even me as an experienced copywriter, I can pretend I'm okay with it, but I'm still refreshing my inbox for about 4 hours after.
Right.
Just to get that email back. But thinking back to the start of the course and how you felt when you sat down to write copy and how you feel now that you've done the course.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known what to do, so some of the sentences and the words and stuff I could have come up with, but to put it together in a flow that achieved the objective that they wanted to achieve was what I was able to do for them that they couldn't do for themselves. They were like, if we had enough time, we could do it ourselves. But then when they saw what I was able to do for them, they were like, oh my God, this is
great. Have done that.
Yeah. So.
Because there's so much craft and science and technique that goes into good copywriting. Oh, that's fantastic. That's a really big transformation that speaks to your confidence now in going, even if I haven't done this before, I got this. I can do this. I love it. Cool. Well, what would you say for anyone thinking about the course, maybe they're holding back because of the challenges, because, it might seem like something they're not up for. Do you have any advice for someone like that?
I think that the advice that I would give out is to like myself when I was thinking about it. And part of what I was thinking about was, am I going to do copywriting or am I going to do content writing? And I would say that there's so much gray area between those two things that this class gives you the tools that you need to do either. Yes. I think, so if you don't know, or if you think you're leaning one way or the other, this class will set you up to be able to do what you want to do.
All the things. You can write all the things.
You can write all the things. And one thing I noticed about when we were taking the master class is that, like, in a lot of ways, good writing is good writing. So I saw a lot of similarities in the feedback that we would get from you that I have seen in good fiction classes. It's like, be specific, be precise with your language, keep going, keep asking yourself, so what, why, is this really the best phrase that you can come up with? Is the best motivation for, what the character is doing or what you're trying to achieve with your copy. So I saw a lot of similarities there. So I guess what I'm saying is, if you're coming in from any other area of writing, maybe you like to write fiction, for example, that will serve you well. And this class can give you the concrete skills and tools to be able to succeed.
I love it. I've never heard that kind of the parallels with fiction, and I would never have described myself because I'm not a fiction writer. Yeah. But that makes me feel really good. So there's a lot of these commonalities. Thank you.
Yeah, I did. It kept coming up, and I was like, I've heard that before. Little things that you would say, and I'd be like, I've heard that advice. It's good writing is good writing.
Cool.
So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience today. You were a star on the course, always submitting, always turning up. You produce some really, really good work, and it's a pleasure having you in Confident Copywriting as well.
Thank you. I love being here, and I just am thrilled to keep going with it. So
awesome. We got you back. All right. Well, I'm going to let you go, and I'll see you in Confident Copywriting.
Great. Thanks.
Jennifer. Bye.